Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news. Some big updates for you. Actually verified as well. I've got to give a shout out to a certain journalist who seems to have the same information. So we've got basically big updates around Antony and Dumfries and Eriksen and Timber and Vitina. So we'll be talking about all of those. And effectively, competition is coming in. I spoke to somebody at lunchtime. Dumfries is a player that Manchester United want. Chelsea are in for him. Antony is a player that Manchester United want. Miguel Delaney is saying it's Spurs. I didn't get told the club. I was told that there's a couple of North London clubs. Not North London, I've given that away. There's a couple of London clubs interested. I suspected Chelsea was one of them, but clearly Spurs is one of the others. Eriksen is tipped to go to Spurs. And Vitina, Porto, not happy, the manager, but they're trying to sell him to Manchester United. And Timber will give you the latest on that as well. I want to keep it a Frankie de Jong free zone. Maybe on the 8 o'clock show we can talk about Frankie de Jong, but I don't want to talk about Frankie de Jong at all. But before we get in, there's a little bit of breaking news, and it's coming from Simon Stone. Occasionally it comes up in the chat. I'm happy to talk about it. Well, I'm not happy to talk about it. That's the wrong word. I'm happy to refer to it when we get proper, credible updates. And we've had a credible update come up in the last few minutes from Simon Stone in relation to Mason Greenwood. Now, I will give you the story and then I'll give you my experience, because obviously I used to work in investigation, so I know how these things work. So, Simon Stone said that Mason Greenwood will have his bail extension hearing next Thursday. It will be a private hearing, and Mason Greenwood is not expected to attend. What does that mean for those people who don't know anything about the UK judicial system? Effectively, he's currently on police bail. He was arrested on suspicion of a serious offence, and he was bailed. And that bail means that you basically go off and live your life whilst the police investigate further, because they need time to investigate further. This has been going on for months now. The bail extension hearing next Thursday will be the police or the Crown Prosecution Service who prosecute on behalf of the police. They will be asking the court to extend that bail further. I presume Mason Greenwood's lawyers will be saying they want it to be dropped, but that doesn't mean that will happen. So on Thursday we'll probably get an update, but you can't predict with these sort of things because it's a very serious matter. But I would imagine that the bail will probably get extended. That would be my hint around that it will get extended because it's a very serious event. So we'll see what happens on Thursday. But a lot of people asking about that. I don't like talking about it. I know a lot of people don't like talking about it either, but that is where we officially and credibly are, and Simon Stone has provided that update. Tom Best says, this season the quality we're going to play will be on the same level as Salford City in the same league. So being that we are in the Premier League, what position would have us in the Premier League? Tom, I think you've been very, 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 very downbeat there. Just wanted to chime in and say this. The economic levers for Barca are just to have a positive balance sheet for the new season and apply the one-on-one rule, says Mario Fanco. Thank you. Let's not get drawn back into De Jong. I want to talk about different things. So, first of all, let's start off talking about Antony. Now, I've spoken to somebody around midday today and had some 2 or 3 really big updates around Dumfries, Antony, and who else was it? I think I'm getting mixed up here. Yeah, Dumfries and Antony. I mean, the third update was Eriksen, but that's already out there. So, effectively, in relation to Antony, what I was told is that Manchester United really wants Antony. Erik ten Hag really wants Antony. But there's now interest from other clubs. And I was told 2 London clubs. Now, Miguel Delaney, who's a journalist, I mean, I don't really think much of him in relation to transfer stuff. I don't think there's a lot that he says that has ever jumped out to me that go, oh, he's amazing at it. Not that he's bad. But he has put a story out today saying that Spurs are interested in Antony, which would then fit in with what I was told at lunchtime. So it seems to me that Manchester United are, as the thumbnail says, acting too slow. The De Jong deal, I think we'd all agree, is too slow. Antony is too slow because now other clubs are taking a look at him. Dumfries, we're too slow. Chelsea are looking at him. Eriksen, we're too slow. Spurs are looking at him. Everything we're doing is just too slow. And it doesn't mean that we won't get there in the end, but on a journey to the finish line, there is a story to be told. If you speak to Mo Farah about winning his gold medal in the Olympics, he won't just say, I just remembered running past the finishing line. He'll talk you through the whole race. But the only bit that matters is the finishing line. But he'll be able to tell you the story from the start to the finish of that race. And a transfer summer and a transfer in its singular is very much the story as well as the deal. And at the moment, Manchester United are just way too slow on everything that we're doing. And I'll repeat what I think. I think that basically, if you take Antony, who is apparently now getting interest from London clubs, one of which is apparently Spurs, those clubs won't wait around. They won't just be going, hey, Antony, we quite like the look of you. They'll be actually like, what's the fee? What's your wages? What do Ajax want? And they'll start moving through the gears. Spurs have been very effective. I mean, and my fear is that the other club that's in for Antony is Chelsea, because Chelsea are bloody brilliant at transfers. And this will bite Manchester United in the arse if they don't start moving, because my theory is that we are so locked in on De Jong, and the fee that we're going to play for De Jong really will impact anything else that we do. I suspect, especially from what who was talking to at lunchtime, I suspect Manchester United are saying to people like Antony, we do really like you, but can you just be a bit patient? Now, that's all well and good if Antony's like, as long as you're going to come back for me, I will wait a couple of weeks. But are United going to come back to him? Can you trust United? If you're Antony or you're his agent, and Man United are saying to you, look, we really like you. You know, Ten Hag's managed you for the last couple of years. You know, we really do like you. We're very interested in you. We've just got to sort this deal out and then we'll come back. Well, are you coming back to sign me, or are you coming back to say, we haven't got enough money? In which case, I've lost 2 weeks. So United need to, I mean, look, it's the most obvious thing in the world. It's not breaking news. It's slow sports news. Man United need to act quicker, and we are acting too slow at the moment. And as we were talking about this morning, about this impasse that Manchester United are denying, that they're not just dealing with De Jong and putting everything else on hold, I think evidence suggests different. I think we are so focused on De Jong, one deal at a time, unfortunately, that, yeah, I'm sure we're saying to Antony, look, we're interested in this, that and the other. But interested doesn't... What do you mean you're interested? Why can't you sign me now? And I think that is the sort of conversations that United are starting to have to deal with as the pressure on De Jong builds, time moves, and targets are going, well, yeah, I do want to come to you, but when are you going to sign me? Are you going to sign me? Because if you're not, I've got Spurs on the door, I've got Chelsea waiting, and this could become a problem where these key targets, if we're not careful, we could lose them. Do you think we only go for Antony or Dumfries once we have resolved Frankie de Jong, says Michael Neal? It seems that way, Michael. And who's mainly at fault for this delay? Is it primarily Erik Ten Hag for being obsessed with de Jong and delaying everything to try and get him, says Joshua Bowwater? I think that's a fantastic question. I mean, I'm fascinated by transfers. I always have been, and I'm sure many of you are. And I actually, as much as it's stressful, I actually find it quite interesting and exciting, and negotiations and, you know, how it builds. I don't actually have a massive issue with Ten Hag if he's obsessed with De Jong. If I'm manager of Manchester United and there's a player I really, really want, and I'm saying to the board, I really, really want this player, and the board is saying to me, but you also want Antony, and you also want Dumfries, and you also want Timber. We can't move for them until we know what's happening with De Jong. Do you think we should walk away from De Jong and go and get them? And I'm like wanting De Jong. I'm probably saying, look, don't worry about that. I'll speak to Antony. I'll buy us a bit of time. He won't sign for Spurs or Chelsea. I'll deal with that. Keep on De Jong. And maybe that's happening, and maybe you can't knock that. And that's what I mean about it's a race. We're not at the finishing line yet. There's warnings, there's concerns, but it might all work out well in the end. We might get De Jong and Antony and Timber, and maybe we get Eriksen as well. Maybe we get another midfielder, and everyone goes, that's not a bad summer transfer window. On the other hand, maybe we hang in for De Jong too long. That keeps hanging on, and then suddenly Antony's signing for Spurs. You know, and then you're like, shit, I didn't get Darwin Nunez, I didn't get Antony, I'm still waiting on De Jong, and it's all gone wrong. I suppose it's like spinning plates, isn't it? We talk about spin, but actually genuinely spinning plates. You're trying to work on that one's about to go, it'll be fine, I'll just do this one, I'm going to go back over and start spinning that. We are spinning plates a little bit, and I don't necessarily... Look, I'm not the manager, you're not the manager, and ultimately the manager will fall on his sword, won't he? I always said that about Harry Maguire and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like, people used to say, oh, Harry Maguire needs dropping, and yeah, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but when you're a manager who spent £80 million on Harry Maguire, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was always going to keep picking him. He was always going to fall on that sword, and the manager must be able to do that, whether we think they're right or wrong. I'm absolutely sick of the way we operate. It's got to be the biggest joke club in the world and how we operate. We need the owners out, says Clay. My major concern is, because we'll talk about other players in a moment, my major concern about this Antony development is, if you're joining in a little bit late, there's two London clubs that are now looking at Antony. One of them we believe is Spurs, according to Michael Delaney. I wasn't told the two clubs. I would guess Chelsea's another one. That makes sense. maybe Arsenal, but probably Chelsea. And I think that this is always the concern with United. We didn't get Darwin Núñez because Liverpool are better at negotiating and they're a better club. We are okay when we're the only horse in the race. If you look at Wan-Bissaka, Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire, even Paul Pogba, there was no other club willing to pay what we were going to pay, so all the other clubs just backed off. And it was a one-horse race and we took our time. With Darwin Núñez, Liverpool were willing to pay what we were going to pay, and suddenly we're not in that race. And if there's another club willing to pay what we want to pay for Antony, we're in trouble because we're not actually focused on that deal at the moment. And look, you know what could happen? Antony could sign for Chelsea or Spurs next week and United will go, we're never in for him. It's not the truth, but they could do that. So we are acting too slow, but I think we all know why. And I think what I would say about that is, I don't know whether it makes you feel any better, but if Frankie de Jong was not even a realistic option and we were still behaving like this, I think you'd have reason to go, what the bloody hell are we doing? I think it's very obvious what we're doing, whether you agree with it or not. Everything's on hold whilst we try and resolve this marquee de Jong signing. And the reason it's on hold is because there's a hell of a lot of money that's going to get spent on that. £70 million probably outlay to Barcelona straight away. 350 or 300 or 250 grand a week, whatever you want to take, it's still a lot of money per week. Wages well over £1 million a month. That's 12 million. So there's a lot of money wrapped up in Frankie de Jong, in excess of 80 million outlay in the first 12 months. So that leaves you with what? How much money? I mean, even if you did buy Antony and de Jong, you've got to have a budget of 130 million just to do that. So you can sort of see why we're sort of going, yeah, we're really interested in you, Antony, but just give us a couple of weeks. And as I said, Antony might go, I know what you're doing. If you get de Jong, you're probably not coming back for me, so I may as well go and start talking to Spurs. And hence the problems that United may face. We will see. So that's the latest on Antony. Other clubs coming into the fray. Hi, Mark. If I'm Antony, I will wait because it's Manchester United, says Mikael Roach. Yes, but only if that wait is a guaranteed wait. And that's what I'm saying. If Man United is saying, we'll come back for you in 2 weeks, definitely, you wait 2 weeks. If Man United is saying, can you give us 2 weeks to see what happens with de Jong? And you say, are you buying me if you get de Jong? And they go, yeah, we'll see. Then suddenly it's a different thing. I think it's just going to be a bit quiet like it did with Van der Beek. All a bit too slow, though. Our preparation is key for the new season, says MV Pates. Get moving. MV Pates. This has to be a new low point. Pogba headlines everywhere just so we can't forget and move on. Rivals making signings jumping on our supposed targets, says Nick P. Welcome to Members Club, William. And Nathan Davis says City and Liverpool already miles ahead and adding more miles. We are living on hope. Best resources in Africa, but people living in dreams. Man United world, says Nathan Davis. We all would have been excited and refreshed by a transfer like Vitina if we had never been linked to de Jong. This marquee signing has twisted our minds, says Shuddy. And it wouldn't surprise me in 2 years Glazers sign Southgate as United manager as he's the perfect PR blend Glazers need and a yes sir man, says Adnan. Thank you for those chats there. Just in relation to Paul Pogba, by the way, why do you care? I don't think until now I haven't mentioned it. I know his documentary's out. I'm not going to watch it. I don't really care about his quote. I'm not bothered. As I said yesterday, I wish Paul Pogba all the best. But, mate, you've got to look at yourself as much as Manchester United. I mean, I don't need to watch that documentary, but I imagine it's just blame shifting. And a justification that he should earn loads of money. I mean, take it to Juventus, mate. I'm glad it's over. I wish you all the best. I don't dislike you. I think you're a good player. But I'm really glad you've gone. And Lingard. And Cavani, I'm glad all three of them are gone. And, I just wish United would give us some positivity to really move on because I do feel that that's in the past. Let's move on. Hi, Mark. Bit off topic. Do you rate Delo as a main right back, says Dan? No. I mean, good point. Good transition there. In the second player I was talking about at lunchtime, Antony story, Dumfries. Now, this is quite an interesting one because with Dumfries, we've heard bits. Now, what I was told at lunchtime is that Manchester United definitely are interested in Dumfries. More specifically, Erik ten Hag really likes Dumfries. No surprises. Dutch right back. Erik ten Hag will know a lot about him. Erik ten Hag really likes Dumfries and would like to bring him into the club as his number one right back. So that tells you what ten Hag thinks about Wan-Bissaka and any other right back option like Delo or even Ethan Laird. He doesn't see any of them as as an obvious right back that he would want. He wants a new right back, and he likes Dumfries. United could do that deal for probably 20-25 million, but again, United are going, well, let's wait and see. And then there are other clubs, rumoured to be Chelsea, that are moving forward. So in the case of Dumfries, he may well stay at Inter, he may well move, but the reality is United can't move on this deal. Ten Hag wants him, but United can't move on this deal because Dumfries is even lower down than Antony and Timber at this point. It's all about De Jong, and then if that happens, we might do Timber or Antony, and Dumfries we'd like to do. So another player that we're sort of interested in, monitoring, but can't move forward on. So yeah, take of that what you will. But in relation to Dalot, I like Dalot, but do I think he's a right back that plays for any other top four side? No, I don't think he's of that quality. He's still young enough to get better. And look, people are saying Rashford deserves a second chance. So Dalot deserves an opportunity to be developed by good coaches. But I don't see Dalot, I've seen, if I hadn't seen some riches, I could live with being poor, I suppose is the saying. But I've seen amazing fullbacks at Manchester United, and I think the only decent fullback we've got is Luke Shaw, and some people would disagree with me on that. But there's potential with people like Dalot, but I wouldn't blame Erik Ten Hag for wanting to bring Dumfries in, because if you know anything about Ten Hag, fullbacks are very important in his system, and I don't think he can. People talk about the keeper not being suitable for his system, and Maguire not being suitable for his system, and Rashford not being suitable, and Bruno not being suitable. Well, how many players can he carry that aren't suitable? And certainly fullbacks are very important in his position. When do you think the tipping point for Manchester United fans is going to be in regards to the transfer window? I think we are reaching that point very soon. Says Salah Ahmed. I think with regards to fans, just quickly before we move on to another player, the transfer window and the normal playing season are two very different things. I was talking about this on the That's Football transfer show this morning. I remember about 4 or 5 years ago, the season ending, and somebody saying, I'll see you back in August. I've got no interest in the transfer window. I can't stand it. And I found that weird because they are two very different beasts, but I love the transfer window and I love the normal season. And they are two very, very, very different times. Transfer window is about building your team without playing any games. And it's a bit like playing FIFA and playing Football Manager. Football Manager, you never play the games, you're just building your team. FIFA, you actually control the players. And I think transfer window is about building and the normal season's about playing. And I believe that what happens with Man United's fan base is we only ever really get the protests in the playing season because fans are attending the ground quite regularly. You never get protests in the transfer window, even though it is the time where you get to see the club's appetite and what the Glazers want to do. So I don't think if we have a really bad transfer window, it's going to lead to protests and things like that, because they never really happen during a transfer window, even though that's the time when you get the evidence of what the appetite of the Glazers is. So I don't think a bad transfer window will cause any issues. I think the issues will start next season if we're going out with the same players and they're performing badly. Let me get this right. We spent all season moaning about players not playing for the shirt. Now we're disrupting our whole transfer window for a player who doesn't want to come to United, says Ryan. It's an interesting spin on that, Ryan, to be fair. Talking about De Jong, I know. Mark, if we truly wanted to be the best club in England, we would do the business at all costs. We're going down the same path as the last 10 years, says Clay. We'll never have that appetite, Clay. I mean, I need to talk about Eriksen and Tielemans and Timber, but we'll never have that appetite, mate. You're absolutely spot on. If you are Chelsea or Man City or Liverpool, your obsession is to be, or PSG, or Real Madrid, or Barcelona, or Bayern Munich, all these big clubs, their appetite. I can look at Bayern Munich, I can look at PSG, I can look at Real Madrid, at Barcelona, Manchester City, Liverpool. I can look at Chelsea even. I can look at those clubs and say, I might not like them, but their mentality is to be the best team on the pitch. That's what drives them. I look at Manchester United and I go, they'd like to be good on the pitch, but their mentality is to be the best team off the pitch. That is why we fail. We are not obsessed about being the best on the pitch. Because if we were, you'd throw caution to the wind and you would just get on with your business. But any business we do always has to be rectified and certified and ratified by the Glazers. And does it balance here? And can we take the dividends out here? And that's always, as I keep saying, ever since the Glazers took over United, the club has been fighting with one arm behind its back. And you can't win like that. Ten Hag was the fans' signing. Club wanted Poch. Too far-fetched to think that don't get Ten Hag his priorities. He fails, then bringing your number one. Too much of a conspiracy theory that, Luke, I think. Too much of a conspiracy theory. Lee Mace, thank you very much for the super chat. Just quickly before I move on, to the members, if you want to be a member, click the join button. It's pinned at the top of the live chat. The latest exclusive members video went out at 11 o'clock. It's comparing Bruno to Eriksen. Stats, deep dive, passes into the box, touches in the box, shots on target, percentage, tackling, the whole lot, comparing the two. Quite interesting, actually. Quite interesting. So check it out if you're a member. Thank you very much for your support. On Eriksen, seamlessly transitioned into that. I will talk about Timber and I will talk about Tielemans in a minute. In relation to Eriksen, Ed Aarons, who is a journalist for The Guardian, said that Manchester United and Spurs are believed to have made offers to Eriksen, but I don't know what the exact words were, but it was something along the lines is that he's expected to join Spurs. So, I don't know what you think about that. I mean, I don't know what to think about that. If I'm absolutely honest, I'm not going to cry about it. I like Eriksen, but you can only be honest to yourself, can't you? And to me, priority is 2 midfielders, centre-back, left-footed right winger, forward, full-back. So I've got 6 signings before I even get to Eriksen. We ain't signing 6 players, so why am I buying Eriksen? That's my mentality. He'd be option 7. So why is he coming in the first 3? That's my issue with Eriksen. Fantastic player. Definitely a good replacement for Mata. You could argue why would we bring him in to replace Mata when we've got Mabry and Garnacho and Donny coming back. But look, as a replacement for Mata, yeah, but low priority. A lot of people in the chat talking about Ronaldo. There was a story this morning coming out. Now, I commented on it and I got a bit of stick on Twitter, but you need to watch United Stand to know what I meant, and sometimes people on Twitter don't remember or know what I'm on about. So there's a story coming out that Ronaldo might go to Roma. There was a story that Ronaldo doesn't feel like he's part of the Ten Hag rebuild, and he's not happy about the lack of Champions League football, so George Mendes is trying to find him a move. The only reason I commented on it was because the other night on the United Stand, I actually said to you, I keep having this it keeps dropping into my head that Ronaldo's going to go at the end of the month. And there is absolutely no reason to think this. There's no reason. I've had no information. There's nothing out there. It's just a feeling. I just have this bad feeling. And I know I'm probably going to be wrong. And I want to be wrong. But I just have this bad feeling that Ronaldo is going to go at the end of the month. Because I didn't think Rangnick was going to go. And they got rid of him. And I just feel like everything that was positive about last season, and there was nothing really, but Ronaldo was a positive, and what Rangnick said about the club was a positive. We've sacked him, and then Ronaldo's sort of disrupted the dressing room with the right mentality. It wouldn't surprise me if he left as well, and then we're back where we were with Ollie, basically, with no Ronaldo and no Rangnick speaking the truth, and the same players from a year ago we finished second, which is exactly where the club seems to want to publicly put themselves. I mean, we've heard Erik Ten Hag say it 3 times. It seems to me that United want to reset back to the team that finished second a year ago, which is it's crazy. I don't get that. But it's almost, if there's any message coming out of United since Ten Hag's come in, it is we finished second a year ago. There's a lot of potential. Well, we didn't have Ronaldo then, so what are you trying to say? But I think Ronaldo will stay. I think the story that came out today is a load of bollocks, to be honest. But it doesn't mean I'm not scared of that actually happening. Do you see similarity in De Jong and Sancho sagas in the Manchester United approach? Says Viniak, waiting for club to lower fee when they aren't willing to sell. You can see similarities in all sorts of things, mate. I mean, you could see a similarity in the Perisic deal that never happened, where United refused to go that little bit extra. So I don't want to talk about De Jong. It will take care of itself. What I would say about De Jong is that nearly every story about De Jong comes from the Barcelona side. What does that tell you? Barcelona want to sell De Jong to us. They want to get as much money out of us as they can. They know we're desperate. They know we're shit. They want to sell him. There's no doubt in my mind that Barcelona are trying to offload De Jong to us. And United are probably stuck in this position where they can't believe their luck because they're going to get a world-class midfielder, but they also do not want to blow a lot of the budget on one player. So who knows how it will end, but it's very, very clear that Barcelona want to sell him. And, I've got total respect for Barcelona. I felt really bad for them when they lost Messi last year as a big club, and we're a big club with a big history. You don't want to see those big clubs in those problems. And I have got a lot of, had a lot of empathy for Barcelona, but I keep getting Barcelona fans in my chat saying, shut up about De Jong and let it go. And I don't get involved because it's very obvious your club's trying to sell De Jong. It's not British journalists who are going on about this. It's constantly Spanish Barcelona sources and journalists who are talking about selling him. So maybe instead of trying to banter United fans, maybe talk to your own journalists who keep pushing this story, because clearly you want to sell De Jong. When are we going to accept the facts that this window is going to be like all the others? The so-called changes at the top were window dressings. Says give it to Mikey. Thank you very much there for the super chat. Who else? So we've spoken about Eriksen. So we've spoken about Dumfries. We're probably going to lose that battle. We've spoken about Antony with other clubs coming into the race. 2 London clubs, apparently. We've spoken about Eriksen, who's probably going to choose Spurs. There was a good question I wanted to bring in. A couple of people have said, why have we not gone for people like Bissouma or Tielemans? Well, again, it's very logical. It's a very logical question, but there's a very logical answer. How can you sign Bissouma for 25 million? How can you sign Tielemans for 40 million? How can you sign Ruben Neves? How can you sign any of these players when your priority midfielder you still are working on, which is De Jong? So if you're wondering why United didn't sign Bissouma or Tielemans or Sangari or any other midfielder that you would like us to go and sign, well, the simple answer is the same answer that every transfer is being held up at this moment. Why haven't we bought a centre-back? Why haven't we bought another forward? Because we are focused on De Jong. And the club don't want that. And I understand why the club don't want that. And maybe they'll change that. Maybe this weekend or early next week we'll go and sign somebody else. But for the last 7 weeks, they can't change the fact that they've been absolutely focused on De Jong. And that's why we haven't bought a Bissouma or anyone like that, because De Jong's the number one. And you don't start looking for option 2, 3 or 4 whilst you're on number 1. But the problem is, whilst you're focused on number 1, option 2, 3 or 4 could get bought by somebody else. So maybe Tielemans is on the list for Manchester United, but he'll probably end up at Arsenal because we'll still be focused on De Jong. And that's why we're not going for those. Doesn't mean we shouldn't be going for those, but if you want the answer why we're not, it's because we're focused on that. My big question is, who's the second midfielder? This is what happens when you don't do the business you should have done 3 years ago. We should have bought a CDM 3 years ago. We definitely should have bought one 2 years ago. And it was absolutely essential we bought one a year ago. We still haven't bought one. And since that, because we didn't buy one 3 or 2 years ago, we now desperately need 2 midfielders. So even if we get one midfielder, I'll be saying at the end of it, well, we actually needed 2. Because this one you've got was the one you should have got 2 years ago. And we need another one now. So who's the second midfielder? That's my question. It's not really about Tielemans or Bissouma. It's like we need 2 midfielders. Where's the 2 midfielders? Because if you do buy De Jong, who are you playing him with? Fred or McTominay? Like, that's not enough. James Garner's not probably going to be ready. So, McTominay can't even get in a Scotland midfield. So it's Fred and De Jong backed up by McTominay. That ain't good enough. You need another midfielder. Ain't there a clause in every player's contract to reduce wages by 20% for failing to qualify for the Champions League? Add the difference to the budget, says Keith. Don't know about that, Keith. Cinder, welcome to the members club. Rahul says, I understand that our top priority is Frankie de Jong, but we can at least sell those players which Rangnick told us we just need new owners with the new director, says Rahul. But they ripped up everything that Rangnick said, Rahul. I'm sure Ralph Rangnick said sell this player, this player, this player and this player, and maybe we would have done it by now, but they ripped it up. They sacked him. So they ignored it. Problem is, in transfers to every club, we are labelled quite rightly as mugs. Club know and try to get as much out of us as possible, says MV Pete. And doesn't there have to be some sort of hard deadline to complete this De Jong deal, says Stephen. I mean, again, Stephen, it's a very, very good point. There can be a deadline. But we've already spoken about these deadlines. United set a deadline 2 weeks ago. We've gone past it. There was a deadline tomorrow. We've gone past it. I mean, the reality is I don't think United can set a deadline, because whilst there's a chance he'll come, we're going to hang around. And that's very, very clear. I mean, we'd all love a deadline, but there's no point in having a deadline if you're not going to follow it through. And United, for all this, we're going to walk away and that, they're clearly not. And Barcelona clearly know they're not. We are waiting, and we're going to wait through till the conclusion. And, you know, this could go for another 2 weeks. Easily. Could go for another month. There's how long's a piece of string? And we're getting drawn back into Dion, which I don't want to do. Let's talk about Timber. Hi, Mark. Great show. Why do you think that Jed Spence will be ready when Garner isn't, even though they played in the same team? Can you call Rye a prat? Says Dan. Rye, you're a prat. Good point. Again, I would buy Spence. I didn't say I'd throw him in as our right back straight away. I quite liked the idea of Delo and Spence being our right back options next season. Remember, we're going to be playing in the Europa League for Carabao Cup. There'd be plenty of game time to give Spence a go. And at 20 million, I think he's a good signing, and he's going to go to Spurs by the look of it. I don't mind keeping Garner as long as we're going to give him some game time, but he won't be ready to start every game. I mean, we play Liverpool third game of the season. Would you put Garner into that? I think it's a big risk. So Garner will either stay and play a bit part, or he'll go on loan and play a lot of a part. And I don't know where I am with that at the moment. Let's see how he does in the pre-season talk. I honestly think we won't announce or sign anyone until we release the new kit. Man City and Liverpool already have their new signings in their kits. Great point, Daniel. Funnily enough, I don't know whether I mentioned it on a show, but I am in a few group chats, and I said that early July will be when United get busy because we've got the new kit. Anything about Lema, says Stedge. The only thing I know about Lema is Bayern Munich really, really want him. And look, you know, there's always... I don't want to sing that. Always look on the bright side of life, because you'll all just switch off. I'm not going to abuse your ears, but Lema's going to leave Leipzig, isn't he? He hasn't gone anywhere yet. Jesus is going to Arsenal. He's not there yet. I don't think we can sit here. We'd be very foolish to sit here and say, why haven't we done all our business? That's not what we're saying. And nobody at United should think that's what we're saying. We're not saying that. We're not expecting you to have done all your business. What we expected was to do some business, you know? And we've done no business at the moment. In relation to Timber, a lot of people want to know what's going on with Timber. The situation with Timber remains the same. He is Erik ten Hag's number one priority centre-back signing, and he is in his top 3 signing priorities. De Jong's number 1. I don't know whether Timber's number 2 or Antony's number 2, but Timber's in the top 3 signings that Ten Hag wants. In fact, Darwin Núñez was in the top 3, so maybe it was De Jong, Núñez, Timber. I think that's what it was, to be fair. So he's a number 1 priority signing in that centre-back position, and he's in his top 3 priority signings. United know that. Timber, United, terms, fine. A month ago. Like, Timber, United, conversations, yes, this is what we would agree to, fine, a month ago. United, Ajax, fee, not fine. Never got agreed. Ajax don't really want to sell him, and Man United don't want to pay 40 million, they want to pay 30 million. So that was where we were. Timber went on international duty. Van Gaal started talking about players and him specifically being better off staying at Ajax. Silence. That nobody really knows what's happening. You know, I remain 80% that we're going to get him, because I just haven't had anything that makes me think that won't happen. He's on holiday, which was always predicted to happen, and a decision will be made. But he remains Man United's number 1 priority centre back. If he stays at Ajax, then it's another target we didn't get, and we definitely messed that one up, because it was very, 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 very likely at one point, and maybe it still is. Use Donny as our main centre midfielder and sign a CDM who can accommodate him, get a centre back and a striker, then start to adapt to Ten Hag's system and build from there, says Bulow. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Timber, De Jong and Antony turned us down. We will sign no one, says Brandon. Antony hasn't turned us down. Antony would love to come to Manchester United, so that's definitely not true. Tony says, the only Timber you will hear at United is them going down the league. Good one. And Wolves going to sign Núñez, who is a good midfielder. Man United are going to miss out, says Arvin. Arvin, Manchester United will miss out on players. Tillemans, Núñez, name Bissouma. We will miss out on those players because we are still locked in on our number 1 target. we can't shift away to buy another midfielder when we're focused on De Jong. And we can all go around the houses and we can all talk about why aren't we doing this, why aren't we doing that, but we are so focused on De Jong. Second, third, fourth, fifth options we're not going to be looking at, and they'll end up going elsewhere whilst we're focused on number one. The danger is if we don't get the number one and we look down the list and most of them have already gone, we might end up with option 7 or 8 or nothing. So it's the risk you run, and United obviously feel that it's worth the risk. And as I said, Barcelona desperately want to sell De Jong to us. So I'm still 75%. I said it last night. I said last night I'm still 75% sure we'll get De Jong. Oh my God, the replies. And it wasn't just Barcelona fans, it was United fans as well. Deluded, let it go. And I'm like, but I still haven't, I'm not letting it go just because Barcelona got a load of money. I still haven't heard from anybody credible that Barcelona are keeping De Jong. And until that happens, they're still, even today, it's still coming out from Barcelona outlets that they want to sell him. So sometimes you just got to stay true to yourself. I'm still 75% will get De Jong. I'm still 80% will get Timber. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right. What's 75%? 25% short of 100. So I'm not 100. So things can change. But as of now, I'm not going to buckle under, sensationalist predictions on social media. Murta thought he was now good enough without Ranić as director of football, and now he's clearly struggling, says Vignesh. Welcome to Members Club, Sonny. And if we get Timber, he will cost around 30 to 40 million, which leaves us with enough to get Frankie de Jong. So if terms are fine, what is the hold up here, says Madav. Well, you're right. If we get de Jong for 70 million, we've got enough to go and get Timber and stay under 120 million budgets. But what if we get de Jong for 65 and that leaves us with 55 and that's enough to get Antony and we don't get Timber? That's what I mean. I don't think United can move for anybody else at the moment because they want to know what they're going to be spending on Frankie de Jong, so they know that what they've got left. We've 100% got to try and sell some players. The budget's not big enough at 120 million. We need that budget north of 160 really. So we've got to sell some players as well. The biggest shame for me is that we're going to go on tour with a load of players that we didn't want to go on tour with. So yeah, it's that's the thing that bothers me the most. Is that I look forward to the tour. I think we all do, but I don't look forward to second half FC on tour when he's bringing on people like Eric Bailly and Brandon Williams and players that just haven't really got a future at the club or have had their chance at the club. We need a new Manchester United. We definitely do. Anyway, look, please smash a like on the video if you are watching and make sure you subscribe. We're on the road to 358,000. Please subscribe, bottom right hand corner. And remember, if you're a member, you can click the join button. If you're not a member, it's pinned in the chat. You get your badge next to your name. Thank you very much for your support. But if you are a member, we've just dropped our new exclusive members video, which we do each week for our members as a thank you. And this video this week is comparing Bruno to Eriksen in a deep dive stat comparison, looking at passes forward, touches in the box, passes into the box, shots, crosses, tackling, the whole lot. And it's quite interesting because I came out of it very much as I always have been. I like Eriksen, but he's my 7th choice position. 2 midfielders, centre-back, left-footed right winger, forward, full-back, then Eriksen. So why are we buying somebody who would be a 7th signing when we're not going to buy all of the other 6? That's my opinion. 200 million budget is what's needed, says David. Oh, 100% David. 100%. And Callum, we won't get it though. Why does our board only go for 1 at a time over teams like Arsenal who had bid for 3 players while buying Vieira? Board is awful, says Callum thought. Well, this was meant to be the summer, Callum, where we stopped. We've always been a club that does 1 deal at a time. That's well known. That's not fan theory. That's well known. You go through reams and reams of reports on United over the last 7 or 8 years, and you'll see that loads of people have mentioned how United just do 1 deal at a time. Good anecdotal evidence. This was the summer where we weren't going to be like that. Apparently, we're more streamlined, but we've seen no evidence of that. Doesn't mean that we won't be like that. Maybe we've stacked up a few deals. Who knows? But at the moment, we're still looking very much like the club that takes 6 weeks on every deal. In fact, well, De Jong's longer than 6 weeks now. So if United, what surprises me about United the most is they're desperate to be seen as a competent and new United now that Woodward's gone. They always averaged about 6 weeks on a deal. Their very first signing has not happened yet. The only one we know we're definitely working on is De Jong, and that's gone over 6 weeks. So how can it, whatever they want, and they may end up having a really good summer transfer window, but as things stand at the moment, it doesn't look good because they're all desperate to not be tainted by the past. But they've gone past the past in incompetence in relation to how long it's taking with De Jong, which is longer than any other deal we've done really, and it's still going on. So, you know, there's time for United, but they are going too slow at the moment. Anyway, little bit of break from reality. I'm going to be playing my FIFA career mode in about 20 minutes time on Twitch. I'll be tweeting it off at Mark Goldbridge. Remember the members club. If you are a member, check out the new video. It's only 10 minutes long, so you could check that while you're waiting. And there's a new Mark Goldbridge video, Driving with Goldbridge. I tell you what, you may as well watch it. It's on my channel. It's called Driving with Goldbridge. It was bloody hot. Hot, hot, hot. It was really hot, but check it out. Thanks everyone for watching. Please do subscribe on your way out, bottom right hand corner. I've got the 8 o'clock show for you, and if anything happens in between, we will go live, so make sure you're subscribed. I'd love to be able to promise that, but I don't know. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you on Twitch in about 20 minutes.